Again, we've got a lot of areas that are excellent that are state-owned lands to hunt waterfowl, and it seems the later into the season we get, the fewer people actually go out and hunt because it can be very dangerous at times, but it's very cold and it could be very miserable. Misery loves company. That's why duck hunters are kind of a unique breed. My recommendation would be to hook up with somebody who is a hunter already, somebody who's got the experience, because duck hunters are wonderful people. I have yet to find a duck hunter who would not be interested in mentoring somebody. Because when we duck hunt, as you well know, the majority of the time we're trying to solve the world's problems in the duck blind. We're coming up with great conversation, great camaraderie, and that really is the majority of the hunt. The shooting part of it is a small part, but it's an important part, so you want to target practice, of course. But I would recommend hooking up with somebody who is already a duck hunter. They've already got the equipment. And, you know, I believe that a duck hunter has a responsibility to invite people to go hunting. And we need to make sure that our sport carries on forever because we do have a very important role in nature.
Right. Now, you talked a little bit about sort of getting invited, and there's probably ways when you go to your banquets or a variety of other outdoor banquets that you can potentially get connected with some people that do those types of things.
Absolutely.
If a person can't get connected, what are some characteristics of land and the grounds that you want to be looking for to do duck hunting at?
Well, there's two types of duck hunting or waterfowl hunting. There's water hunting and then there's dry land hunting. And luckily we're in an area where there's some agriculture, so we will find areas where the birds feed. And typically if somebody is looking to get involved in waterfowl hunting, I suggest that they go out in the field just prior to the hunting season, learn the area, and watch what the birds are doing. Birds are sort of habitual, so they will nest in certain areas at night. They'll come in and feed in certain areas. They'll develop patterns. Especially with the local birds, it's a lot easier to establish their pattern and what they're doing. So just pay attention to what Mother Nature is doing out there.
So you go out to state land that's maybe one of your favorite lakes that has a safe area and look to see where the ducks are.
Absolutely.
And then just sort of find a spot where you think when the sun rises that you can be able to hunt.
Certainly. Great resources, the Department of Natural Resources, operations centers, talk to those folks. The biologists are very knowledgeable. Conservation officers are very, very knowledgeable. They're out there dealing with those folks every day. So.
Now, I've seen a whole litany over the years of these different types of, you talked about the personal clothing, your gun, and then the sort of how do you get set up. What's the importance of having these decoys?
To me, decoys are very important because there's a time when you're going to want lots of decoys out there, and there's a time where you may only want to place one or two decoys. And it's usually by trial and error. It's the school of hard knocks out there in the marsh. Sometimes you'll put out 20 decoys and you'll only need 2 or 3. But what decoys do that I've witnessed over my several years of hunting ducks is it just gives a little bit of more confidence. The birds appear to have ducks landing in there, so they're going to see these birds on the water and possibly come in to visit or to birds like company. And you know, the other thing that we utilize is duck calls, goose calls. That takes practice, and we actually do seminars throughout the year. We do the Saginaw Bay Waterfowl Festival every year. Point Moulet has a waterfowl festival where we'll actually give clinics on waterfowl calling.
Now, and I know you've got a bunch of them, so we won't ask you to demonstrate those. But
sure.
so for all these different things, we talked about the red ducks, the bluebills, the mallards, the Canadian geese. They all have a different type of a call. Is that how that works?
They all have separate vocalizations, and many times the hen mallard or the hen duck is the one that's the most vocal. So she's the one that will be making the calls, making the sounds. And all we try to do is imitate what the birds are doing at certain times to lend a lure to the decoys.
Okay. So then I guess is that if you're trying to attract mallards or you're trying to attract bluebills, you put out bluebill decoys and then you quack. Is that how that works?
Yep. In fact, diving ducks typically have a purr, kind of a brr, brr, where the mallard will have that quack. You'll hear a very distinctive quack. And there's times when you really need to call, and there's times where if you don't call at all, that's the best thing to do.
Okay. Now on the timing, so we've talked about sort of getting the gear set up, and I'm assuming at any kind of your sporting stores you can find decoys. On the internet you can find decoys, and then the sighting. Is it morning hunting better, day hunting better? How does that work?
That varies by region. It varies by time of year. It varies by hunting pressure. So again, by the person going out and scouting early in the morning before the sun comes up to watch the birds, where they're going, where they're coming from. There's some great programs on the internet that will allow you to see literally a bird's eye view of the area. and look at it. If it looks like a place where you think a
So
duck
is that
might
like,
be.
is that like a Google map or what?
I use Google Earth religiously.
Okay.
I
All
do,
right.
yes. And more often than not, I've found some very good duck hunting spots
Okay.
just from Google Earth.
And that's real time or generally close to real time?
Fairly close. I
Yeah.
think within a year they've usually
Wow.
updated those pictures.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that gives you some overview.
Yes.
Well, that's very good. So now, for groups that want to get involved in sort of building these different not decoys, the houses.
The hen houses
The
or
hen
wood
houses,
duck box.
wood duck boxes.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about the ones with the wire and the grass.
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the next? You said the wood duck boxes. How do those work?
Wood duck box, the interesting thing with a wood duck is they're cavity dwellers, which means they will find a hole in a tree and will nest and raise their young up in that hole in that tree. What we have found through several years back, even from the 1930s, was that by creating an artificial nesting structure for wood ducks, they're usually, number one, predator proof, and number two, very safe for the ducklings. The ducklings will hatch, they'll climb up the inside of the wood duck box, jump out sometimes as far as 60 feet down.
Wow.
Fall, roll off the earth, and start swimming away with the mother. And very effective, very easy to build. There's some great plans out there. We usually get the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H. They get involved. The different conservation organizations get involved, and they really do make a difference because they, again, keep the birds away from the predators, and they make for a safer nesting environment for our wood ducks.
Okay, very good. Now, what are the other types of things? Is there certain types of plants or grasses that people that own wetlands listening should be trying to plant?
What I would recommend people do is talk to somebody who specializes in that field, because depending on water
there's
acidity,
local
there's
soil conservation services.
soil conservation, DNR has some great folks. There's some private businesses that do pond restoration. They would probably be able to help the people and explain what would work well for a water-based food for waterfowl. Some people want to throw bread, and it's actually not very healthy for the
Really?
ducks. Popcorn isn't a very healthy alternative for ducks. Ducks need a certain diet, and when they're pulled away from their natural diet is when they become dependent on people throwing them crackers and bread.
Right.
And then after it starts to snow and blow outside, those people go away. But the
Right.
ducks are so conditioned, they're
Right.
waiting for food.
Wow, absolutely amazing.
And
So
they're an incredible animal.
Okay, so to get in touch with your organization, you go to
Go to our website, which is deltawaterfowl.org.
Okay.
Or you can call our toll-free number at 888-987-3695, and that will get you to our Bismarck, North Dakota office.
Okay, and then at this site, I notice there's different clubs that are in the state of Michigan, and so you can click on those different sites, and I know that you're trying to organize some chapters in northern Michigan.
Yes, absolutely.
And and there's contact information on the website about helping organize clubs throughout the northern and eastern Upper Peninsula.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, my contact information is there. I'm the regional director
Okay.
for Michigan, so you can contact me by email or
Okay.
by my cell phone.
Very good. Well, Scott, I really appreciate your time today. It was a wonderful interview, and I hope our listeners were able to gather some insights. I certainly did from what you were able to share with us on the knowledge of duck hunting.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's
Thank
been
you
a
very
pleasure.
much. This concludes another edition of Northern Michigan Update. I'm State Senator Jason Allen. You may contact myself or my office at the information listed below. Have a great day.